Okay, I'm back. You say, well, if I'm telling you that I do a lot of stuff wrong, how am I able to come up with a decent result a fair amount of the time? Uh, the more you understand exactly what's happening, the more you can just cheat and circumvent it, kind of. And then the more you practice and the better your swing gets, like, okay, in Snap City, right? I'm going to hit hard on this. I've got thickness there. I want to get rid of it. You say, this piece is just going to break in half. No, it ain't, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit on the back here. I'm going to hold on the back. I'm going to put that hump on this to keep it from putting bending force on it. And here's the big deal. This isn't isolated at all, so that's bad because it puts more force into it. But I'm going to hit at an angle that just isn't a problem. I know from my conchoidal fracture that if I hit straight in, it won't work because it's going to come off at this angle and hinge like a big dog and probably will break it. If I hit straight down, it probably won't do that good. If I support right out on the edge and hit straight down, I can do it without snapping it, but it won't run all that far because I don't have that thick and strong a platform here or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it like this where it's off a little bit, but it's on there. Hold it strong at the back edge, and I'm going to drive in from my practice at an angle that I specifically know is almost perfect to put that conchoidal fracture off in a straight line down this thing. What do you think? Is it going to work? You want to see? Okay, here we go. It went straight down to here and did a lot of thinning and hinged out. Okay, so basically I just fluted it without any prepared platform whatsoever, just getting the continuous platform where I wanted it and grinding it to make it stronger, but no isolations, no, jig, no nothing. So that's kind of why I can get away with some stuff. And again, I've said this before, when I started napping, I was just as likely to have hit my thumb just then as I was my platform. So it is not that I have any gee whiz. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing again, but I'm gonna do it differently a little bit. That ridge right there is what I'm taking advantage of. My platform is near the center line, fairly thick flake. I've got it thinner here, I want it thinner right in here. So I'm going to tilt it up on the side a tiny bit to make sure that platform is what's on the ground, and then just drive in on it and hit it. And see, it came down about the same distance as this and feathered out. And it blended real nicely in over here. And so I did a lot of good thinning with 2 hits right there. And I've got another one right here that I can do. And this is not the world's greatest platform. It's a little bit too high. But I'm going to swing a little sideways on it. You can see it's like a nub there, but it's not the world's best, but I've got that ridge, so I'm going to tilt it on that side a little bit and just hit right down that ridge gently, and it came down to the same place. It feathered out. These all feathered out the same place, and it flattened that little thing a little bit. So anyway, what I was saying was my accuracy and ability to hit my spot is certainly necessary for what I'm doing. I'm holding this back edge tightly to make sure those go. Feathered. Perfectly feathered. You can't even see where that one blended. Over here, that was nice. So, say, what does it take? I want to be able to do that. Well, unfortunately, a lot of you will not be able to, and the reason is because you don't have the time. You have lives, you have other things. I do this too much. See how these are blending? You can't really even see very much the blends. Angles. You hold it at the angle you need. Now, I'm wasting time here because, again, if you're making a narrow point, all this crap I'm doing is just unnecessary. You can do it with more reliability and more accuracy and better result and everything by coming on in instead of goofing around shooting long distance at stuff. But on the other hand, when you're learning, it's not bad practice, because if you can do a good job of hitting from a distance, you sure can do a good job from close up. So if you understand support well, and you've gotten practiced enough where you're very accurate with your swing, and you're confident enough from having hit enough to use a fair amount of power in your swing, you can do super ugly, unprepared crap and still come out okay a fair amount of the time. Is it the right way to do it? No. Why am I doing it that way? I don't know. I'm disorganized and impatient. Why am I demoing it for you that way? You're the one that turned the video on. Okay, so this is horrible. This is not traditional napping at all. This is not these edges, these contours, none of this is quote unquote correct. But oh well. So I'm going to freehand this all along in here, and I'm going to be using support underneath to make this ridge go away and thin into that and do some stuff. So first we're going to start at the end, hit a blender in there that goes more than halfway. If I want to show you correct technique, I'm going to start at the end way down here and just barely tap downward. It's kind of a concavity. Get rid of that. That. This is all turned the wrong way. Okay, so now grind that a little bit and I can come back up with it. See, it's all turned down that way. Come back up with it and kind of straighten out some of that. Now, I needed to be careful not to hit over into there and get too high on it, just blending. This edge is really wrong because it's wrong both ways. It's rolled upward for that way, which is wrong, and it's near the center line and kind of concave from that way, which is wrong. And of course, me being me, I don't really care. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tack this in first of it a little bit, and I'm gonna hit there and I'll come in. But I'm getting good back edge support, and I'm holding way out underneath it, holding good, and not catching too much of it. See, I did hit high, but I've got such tight support underneath, it doesn't hurt me, it doesn't fold it. And the support makes it, you know, running over and do some thinning. I'll do this one next. And notice I support with a different finger. I use that finger because it's on that side. And I'm just really kind of getting rid of this ridge. Blended. Pretty useful flake. That one was too. I didn't try and do too much with that. Now just blending. So now this is all lower and everything went over past the midline. Thin, 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 past the midline. So then come back and get it from the other side. But first, I want to clean up a little bit along here. grind a little bit just to take the hands a little bit. This is turned the wrong way to, you know, to come back there, so I've got stuff to do along here. I'm just going to go with a little smaller. The second largest instead of the largest I have, and I'm trying to work this end a little bit here. You know, I said before I'm not very organized. One of my major failings is not working bases enough initially. Getting the base like you want it and then working other stuff. I'm pretty careful to do that on certain point types. I'm real careful to do it on andices and anything along the lines of, you know, a Pedernales point or a Montelli kind of thing. I don't do a whole lot of some of those styles. I'm not real sure why. The cool thing about, you know, my ability of doing as I please is I just make whatever I want to, and it doesn't matter. Whatever I feel like on a given day is fine. I'm hitting those real hard. That first one went to there, and this one went to there, and really lowering quite a bit. That one there. This isn't ground well enough, kind of a knife edge. Gonna hit there and there. And it's hard for me to support with my little fingers, so therefore I don't hit too hard. Because if I hit too hard, my finger will let it go downward. If my angle's wrong. So see, that's all blended in there fairly good, not horrible. Try not to turn your edge too much. By that I mean look at it as you're turning it and allow for your grinding. You know, turn it just enough to where once you grind it, it's going to be where you want it. Because otherwise you're wasting width. That doesn't actually matter at this point on this rock, but it's a good habit to know how much to turn. Reading edges is like, there's just no substitute for knowing what the edge needs to look like and either getting it exactly there or knowing what you've got to do with changing your support or hitting in order to compensate for the fact that the edge isn't perfect. I mean, the goal would be to get the edge like correct, but if you're lazy like me, then it's important to, okay, so see that was turned over there, so now I'm going to hit over here and blend into there if I can. And if I can't, you'll hear the loud noise. Yeah, I shouldn't be hitting that. Not with that support finger. Okay, so that one blew cross over into there and blended down. So I'm going to skip over to here and hit into there and trying to blend pretty good. Over there, over there. It's sprinkling on me. Crap. That first hit damaged that, and that's what happened there, but the second hit, you know, ran it over to there flat. So we're on track. That was a hard hit, and that completely, you know, I went boom, 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 and that one just wiped out and blended into the other ones and went really wide because it wasn't on that much of a ridge. But you can see all that stuff that needed to match up, the stuff I've done from the other side is now gone, and it's more or less flat. I mean, there's not really a lot of I definitely didn't add any convexity with that round, which I wasn't trying to. So. It's all me, man. All me. Jamming it all up. And you're like, oh my gosh, what's he gonna do? Fix it. That looks scary, didn't it? I was trying to cut off the backs of some of those hinges, and I got kind of the edge of them. That's no big deal. But that was a pretty aggressive, you know, flute. See how I'm pinching that? I'm sticking it in my leg and pinching it, and it can't really go down. I put bending forces on stuff. I cut off the edge of that hinge right there. That's what I was doing right with that. Sort of blended right into there. But see, I'm almost hitting my hand. I got my finger under there. Well, as long as I hit the rock first, that's how my finger was. And I hit the rock, and it just perfect little blender into there. Same thing here. I got a ridge here. I'm actually gonna. You think I can't climb up that ridge? No, that ridge is toast. That ridge is history. I just went underneath it. All about the support. Yes, I have said that before. Yes, I just said it again. I only know so many things. At some point, if y'all want to see videos, I gotta start repeating myself more. That one I caught way too high, and the vast majority of people hitting that would have folded it. This thing is getting relatively thin. You can see how high I caught that. Can you see how high I caught that? I caught it up here. And normally lots of bending forces. It's not in the middle, but it's not that far from the middle. Normally lots of bending forces on that. But instead, it wrapped and it ran out to here because I had my finger tied up underneath there. So my ring finger saved the day, basically. And you're like, hey, doesn't that whole ridge there, isn't that above the center line, all of it? Yes. That one went to there. You're like, didn't you hit above the center line? It was right at the center line. I'm not telling you to do what I do. What I'm hoping is that you can just understand what's happening and apply it to your own stuff. Well, let's see. So them two videos together are probably about all I needed to say. Looks like Andy's rock is doing fine. I think I'll just turn off the video and at my leisure here, just sit around and finish it. I got a crick in my neck today, so I gotta be kind of careful how I do things. Bye for now, y'all. Freeze crack.